Welcome to Loop City. We're five guys who love hoops, entertainment, and culture. We're back wrapping up our NBA season division previews. I'm Pete Toll. Joining me as always is DJ GonzoStar and Coach Matt. For our last preview today, we're hitting up the Northwest Division. Let's get right into it, starting with the Denver Nuggets. Matt, how did they fare last season?
All right, last year they were 48 and 34, finished sixth in the Western Conference, pretty good record considering no Jamal Murray and no MPJ most of the season. Points per game, they were 112.7, which was good enough for 10th. They allowed 110.4, which was good enough for 14th. Pace was 97.8, which was 19th. Offensive rating, 114.5, which is 6th in the NBA. The defensive rating was 112.1, which was 15th out of 30. They lost in the first round to the Golden State Warriors last year in 5 games. Right now, the over-under is 51.5 wins, and a lot of that I'm guessing because Jamal Murray and MPJ are back. They add Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, Bruce Brown, Ish Smith, DeAndre Jordan, the greatest big man in the game right now, Christian Braun, and Peyton Watson. They lose Monte Morris, Will Barton, JaMychal Green, Austin Rivers, Campazzo, Bryn Forbes, and DeMarcus Cousins.
For anybody that didn't know, Matt is being sarcastic with the
Yes.
DeAndre Jordan comment. I don't think any of us like DeAndre Jordan that much, but let's jump right into it. Gonzo, I'm going to you first. So Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr. are coming back this year. Obviously, Michael Porter Jr. showed flashes in the past of being a legit, second option scorer. We know what Jamal Murray can do. They're both coming back from major injuries. Does that lead to more wins for them, or is it going to be a frustrating time trying to get them pieced back into the lineup?
I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be a little difficult. They're going to make the playoffs, but I think it's going to be difficult due to the fact that Jamal Murray is coming off of that injury. Michael Porter Jr. has this back problem that lingers, and they haven't been playing for a while. So now they have to work their way back into the offense. The bad part about this whole Denver Nuggets lineup is that they lose Will Barton, a decent 6 man. They lose Monte Morris. You lose Campazzo. You lose JaMychal Green, a guy who can shoot the 3. You lose Austin Rivers. You're losing a lot of scoring. Bryn Forbes, a good 3-point shooter. You're losing a lot of scoring like off the bench. As it looks, I mean, let's be honest. Who would you rather have, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope or Will Barton? Me, I'm taking Will Barton. You know what I mean? Ish Smith is a decent backup point guard in the NBA, but I don't know. I don't see them having enough on the bench that would allow them to compete. Not to mention Michael Porter Jr. and Jamal Murray are just coming back from injury as well.
And that leads me into the next question, Matt. So obviously they don't have Barton and Morris. Is it good enough with Bones Highland, Devon Reed, Bruce Brown, Jeff Green, and DeAndre Jordan kind of as right now the de facto backups?
Yeah, that's kind of an abysmal bench, to say the least. I won't lie. I like Bones Highland, can score the ball. A lot of potential there. I think he's going to be a good player. I do like Bruce Brown. I think he can come in, provide some defense. Hopefully he can make some corner threes. That'll help. DeAndre Jordan, you never know what you're going to get from him at this stage of his career. And Jeff Green is more of a guy. He's going to fill in, and he's always bigger come playoff time. He seems like a guy they brought in for the playoffs, not so much the regular season. But that bench is terrible. It's a bad bench.
Yeah, you're basically banking on Bones Highland to do most of your heavy lifting. Bruce Brown, I worry because he was such a specialist in Brooklyn. How does that carry over to a different team, kind of different role, kind of the way the team is structured? I really don't know how it's kind of a different type fit. Now, because he came into the NBA kind of as a point guard that couldn't shoot. Now he hits the corner 3 and then has that little floater inside that he likes to shoot. We'll see what happens there. Gonzo, I'm going back to you. And Matt, I've also got the same question, so hang tight. Okay. Gonzo, I want to know from you if there is an X factor on the team that could potentially help help boost them to like the 3-4 range? Anybody that you think might be able to step up enough to get them there?
Nope. The only X factor that they have to help them get to the top 3 or 4 seed, they're gonna have to pray to God that somebody on one of these other teams at the top gets hurt, because there's no way with this roster that they will be a 3 or 4 seed. I don't think there's X factor.
What about you, Matt? You got anybody that you think?
Well, I mean, you have Jokic, so I mean, there's always a chance that they can win a lot of games. We saw him win a lot of games last year. If there's the X factor to me though would probably be Bones Highland. Can he really make a nice step up? We know he can score the ball. He can get hot from 3. Can he be consistent enough off the bench and be that spark, kind of like Will Barton would be for them?
Yeah. At some point during the season, you want to get something out of Braun and Watson, your rookies, and then Zeke Nnaji's been hurt. If DeAndre Jordan's still in there, penciled in as the backup come later in the season, this season went wrong. And I don't want to, dump all over DeAndre Jordan, but I don't think he's there to end up being more than just a serviceable backup big in some small minutes. They really want Zeke Nnaji to be able to stretch the floor, take those backup minutes, helping kind of defend the rim a little bit. The X factor I have is actually Aaron Gordon stepping up, playing a Swiss Army knife type role compared to now with Michael Porter Jr. taking that second scoring option and Jamal Murray potentially being the third scoring option, or vice versa. That allows Gordon to do a lot of cutting, a lot of easy baskets, a lot of easy dunks and things like that. He doesn't have to worry about shooting the 3 as much. So I could see his numbers going up a little bit from where they were kind of downtrending previous, but we'll see. All right, let's move on to the Minnesota Timberwolves. What they do last year, Matt?
They were 46 and 36, 7th in the West. They got out of the play-in and ended up 7th once, the 8 teams were finalized after the play-in tournament. Points per game was 115.9, which was number 1 in the NBA. They allowed 113.3, which was 24th. Their pace was 100.9, number 1 in the NBA. Offensive rating, 114.3, which was 8th. Defensive rating, 111.7, which was 13th. And so over and under 49.5 wins this year. They've added, obviously, you get Rudy Gobert in the big trade. You sign slow-mo Kyle Anderson, Austin Rivers, Bryn Forbes. They get Wendell Moore from Duke, right, in the draft.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you get him. You get Josh Minot. I hope I said that right, or Minot. Yep. I think it's Minot, though. Yeah, Nathan, and then Nathan Knight. Obviously, you lose Patrick Beverly, which is tough. Mike Beasley could score off the bench. You lose him. You lose Jared Vanderbilt, Josh Okogie, Jake Layman, Leandro Balmaro, and Greg Monroe. Damn, we actually mentioned Greg Monroe.
Hey, he looked all right last year.
Did,
so I'm not going to go too much. All right, Gonzo, this one's for you because I know how much you love this player. Rudy Gobert, obviously, is the big, addition, no pun intended. Offensive and defensively, how is he going to change this team for better or worse? And second part of the question, can him and Towns coexist in the front court with Towns now playing power forward?
See, my whole rant with Rudy Gobert is that he was in Utah and he goes to a playoff game, he scores no points. And he's never really scoring the basketball at 7-4, which part of that is my mistake. They don't really want to give him the ball a lot. Now he's in a situation where they don't have to worry about him getting the ball as much because you have a power forward in Karl Anthony Towns that can get you 20 and 10. But I think the best part about this thing, even before I get to Anthony Edwards, is that he creates more scoring opportunities for their team with his offensive rebounding. You don't have to rely on him to do as much as he did in Utah. We just need you to protect the rim and get rebounds to get us more scoring opportunities. We don't really need you to be a scorer. But with this roster, I think they actually improved. I think they gave him too much for Rudy Gobert. But I think this roster is very much improved. And I'm not trying to jump the gun, but let's look at this. You get Kyle Anderson, a solid backup player off your bench. Austin Rivers, you get another guy who can shoot the ball and can kind of score off the bench. Bryn Forbes, lately he's been a very, very good 3-point shooter. You get Wendell Moore, you know, and you got Josh Minot, Nathan Knight. Like, just look at those guys. What you see at the bottom, what they lost, Patrick Beverly, Malik Beasley, and Jerry Vanderbilt, and Josh Okogie, and all of these names, it's like they really just let go a lot of dead weight. I think Patrick Beverly gave him a boost defensively last year, but let's be honest. I think he made them lose all their energy after that play-in win, and when they got to the playoffs, they had no gas. They celebrated like they won their first championship.
Yeah, fair enough. I actually think the impact of the locker room and just that push of Beverly might cost them a little more because Towns isn't obviously a vocal guy. But one guy I think we're all excited for, Anthony Edwards. Matt, what do you see? Obviously, we know he's probably going to take a leap, but how far can he really go this season?
I think potentially he can make the All NBA leap this year. I think he's that good. I think he should be the guy on offense for them. Like, he should be the guy it goes through. Like, this is a guy who can, even with Towns, I think you could see him average 27, 28. I don't know if he'll do it this year, but I think that he can do those things. I think he's All NBA this year. Definitely he's making the All-Star team. He's in. He's too good.
Okay. Gonzo, as far as an X factor to help the Timberwolves climb up a little higher in the West, because I know you're high on the Timberwolves. Do you have an X factor that could help them make a difference? Is it Anthony Edwards, or is it somebody else that you think might kind of go in there and blend their skill set to what they already have?
The X factor is going to be Karl Anthony Towns is hard. Like,
wow,
the dude is so soft. Like, I've never seen a big guy that's 6'10", 6'11", and you have all the size and the skill, but it's like you're afraid to get in the post and bang down low and show your authority in a game. Like, he seems very passive. His passiveness is killing his legacy in playoff basketball. Anthony Edwards has already surpassed him. Because one thing we know about Anthony Edwards, when he got to the playoffs last year, he showed, I want this moment. I want it. Karl Anthony Towns looked like he's scared in these moments. He's the X factor. I think he might need to go see the Wizard and ask the Wizard to give him a heart because he needs one.
Wow. Okay.
Hey, when he say, for those who don't know, Greg is referring to the Wizard of Oz.
Absolutely.
The man behind the curtain.
Yeah. Well, the man behind the curtain this time is paying a lot of money to Rudy Gobert and Karl Anthony Towns front court, so they better be producing. I'm going to go with my X factor before I go to you, Matt, to close out Timberwolves real quick. I'm going to go with D'Angelo Russell because if he's not on, they're not going to go anywhere because he has to be able to score, get his shots off. We know he doesn't have the quickest first step, but if he's under control, taking good shots and making passes when he needs to, as far as even getting in the lane, dishing off to Gobert for an easy dunk, like getting guys involved, that's going to help a lot because if he's not able to hit shots, all teams are going to do is pin down on Anthony Edwards, and then it's going to put more pressure on Gobert to have to score, and that's just not going to go well. So mine's D'Angelo Russell. Who do you have, Matt, as maybe an X factor?
I've got Jaden McDaniels.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about McDaniels. Nice.
He's improving each year. He's going into year 3 now. He's got length. He can move. He's showing that he can make open shots. He can, he'll be, is he going to get better at putting it on the deck and getting to the rim more? Like, I really like his potential as a player.
Yeah, I think they're really high. He's going to start at the 3 now, so I think he really has a chance to be versatile enough there.
They got a big-ass team.
Yeah, they do. And they making the offseason changes they did really helps them on the defensive side of the ball. Now, going to our next team, they did not make that many offseason changes like a lot of people thought they would. Their big change came last year, trading CJ McCollum. It is the Portland Trailblazers. What did they end up doing last year, Matt?
Well, they were 27-55 last year. We have to put it out there in context. Obviously, they trade Chauncey Billups, but Damian Lillard missed a lot of the season. So clearly that hurt their record. So there is a little context. But points per game was 106.2, which was 27th in the league. They gave up 115.1, which was 27th. Pace was 98.3, which was 16th. Their offensive rating was 107.8, which was 27th. And their defensive rating, they were 116.9, which was dead last. They've added Jeremy Grant. You had Gary Payton II. You draft Shaden Sharp. You get Jabari Walker. They've lost Eric Bledsoe. Nobody cares. It's not like he's going to do anything. Joe Ingles is gone. Ben Mclemore, Didi Lozada, CJ Ellaby, and Elijah Hughes.
Yeah, not really any difference makers that they lost.
Yeah. Mclemore can shoot threes, but that's
Mclemore can hit the side of the rim. Let's be clear.
Do that.
He doesn't actually make the threes when it counts. He has spurts. He's kind of like Stauskas, where he has spurts.
No, you mean Sauce Castillo.
I guess, but now both are free agents out of the league, so we'll see what happens in the G League this year. Gonzo, going to you. Anthony Simons and Damian Lillard, they're the new backcourt potentially, is what it's looking like. That's what they're going to start. With that dynamic, does it help or hurt them this year?
It hurts them. They have a lot of young pieces. With the draft picks, Anthony Simon is finally getting a chance to, last year finally got a chance to start and show his worth, but I just don't think it's enough. It's almost like they're putting that CJ McCollum and kind of like Damian Lillard type aspect back again with those two in the backcourt. But overall, in the end, they'll be just shooting threes for a play-in, maybe.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with Portland. Like, don't think they have enough overall. Matt, so looking at the role guys, Shaden Sharp, Nasir Little, Justice Winslow, like Trendon Watford, Gary Payton II, like, did any of those guys give you enough hope, you think, maybe to get them to a low playoff seed, maybe the play-in?
I'm not going to comment too much on Shaden Sharp. We didn't see him play in college. He's a high draft pick, lots of potential. We just don't know what he's going to do.
He's looked great in the preseason so far.
I don't want to comment if he's going to be good or bad. I don't want to go there. We'll see. Hopefully he's going to be really good. He got drafted high, so they like his potential. I like Nasir Little, but he doesn't give me confidence that he's going to be a factor in them getting, a higher seed, outside of maybe the play-in. Justice Winslow is one of those guys, like, he looks really good or really bad.
Yeah, there's no.
You know what I mean? Like he's like, I know he came in kind of with that Ron Artest kind of potential, the size. He's shown some signs of being able to hit shot. Like, sometimes he shoots it well, kind of like your guy Landry Shamet. He's gonna go. He'll go 4 for 6 one game, and the next game he goes 0 for 8.
Yeah,
I
don't know. We'll see what happens, how that kind of shakes out, because there's a lot of guys battling for positions. Like Josh Hart wants playing time.
Yeah, I like
Keon Johnson's, battling for playing time. Now he's looking like kind of the backup point guard potentially, with having 8 assists the other night. It'll be interesting to see how that goes. Gonzo, I'm going back to you for the last question for Portland. Jeremy Grant is obviously their biggest pickup. What impact can he have on this Blazers team?
He won't get. I'm gonna say it like this, and I'm trying to be as nice about this as possible. Jaden Grant will turn the Portland Trailblazers to last year's Detroit Pistons.
Okay.
I don't
want to elaborate a little bit.
Huh?
You want to elaborate a little bit just for the listeners that didn't follow Detroit last year? Maybe
he's just the guy who's going to come in and just shoot a ton. He'll play. I guess he'll play a little defense, but he's not going to be a factor towards them winning. I think, honestly, in my opinion, if you're watching the Detroit games last year, and Matt knows this, they played better when he was, to me, in my opinion, they played better when he wasn't shooting the ball as much.
Yes, because he was hunting shots with that Detroit team. I don't think he's going to be able to do that with this team, though. With Damian Lillard
I
and
hope
Anthony
not.
Simons, he won't be able to hunt shots like this.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, it's just going to be an interesting mix because you're going to have a lot of guys that are going to want to play and play decent minutes to kind of show their potential, whether it's for extensions or whether it's for, just overall like a starting spot or anything as far as consistent playing time. It's almost like you have too many young guys fitting into a team that didn't want to rebuild because obviously Lillard didn't want to get moved. So you don't fully rebuild, but it's a team that probably should have rebuilt kind of from the bottom. And now you have an ownership that's, the new owner, like, doesn't really want to own the team, all that kind of stuff. Like, it's just a mess there.
Yeah, they should have just made the trades, set. I wouldn't say build around Anthony Simons, but, go forward with him as your best player now and just start building through the draft, right?
Yeah.
Shaden Sharp can be, as a piece for them. I want to go back to Jeremy Grant because I know I cut out. He's not going to be able to hunt shots with Damian Lillard.
Yeah.
Like he did, like he could do that with those young guys in Detroit. But you know who I think he kind of reminds me of for this team? I think he's going to be in a similar role, kind of like what Mo Harkless and Al-Farouq Aminu did. He's just more skilled than them, I think. Like a more skilled version of it. I think that's kind of what they're looking at for him. They're all built similarly, similar style games. So I think that's what they'll do with him.
Yeah. All right. Now you touched on something that's near and dear to these next two teams that we're going to talk about, the draft, the Wembanyama sweepstakes, as it may. Scoot Henderson, is kind of up there as the second pick. So you got the Utah Jazz that are next. Obviously, the biggest move they made was the Gobert deal. But what did they do last year, Matt?
They were 49-33, which was fifth in the Western Conference. Points per game was 113.6. Which was seventh. Opponents was 107.6, which was 10th. 97.1 pace, which was 22nd. 116.7 offensive rating, first. Defensive rating, 110.5, ninth. The over and under is 25.5. Real quick, because I think I missed it. For the Portland Trailblazers, it was 40.5 on the over-under.
Okay.
And they've added Colin Sexton, Lauri Markkanen in that trade with Cleveland. You get Malik Beasley, Vanderbilt. You get THT from the Lakers. They get Ochai Agbaji was in that trade with Cavs as well. Walker Kessler. You get Stanley Johnson. Simone Fontecchio. Fontecchio. Okay.
Yep.
Leandro Bellarmo as well. They lose Gobert, Donovan Mitchell, Royce O'Neal, Daniel House, Hassan Whiteside, my favorite big man of all time, Juancho Hernan Gomez, Eric Paschall, and Trent Forrest. They do have a new coach, though, don't they?
Yes, Will Hardy.
Yeah, Will Hardy. Yes.
I missed that when I was doing that. My fault.
I just know I was reading. I'm like,
Quinn Snyder is not the coach. I messed up on the doc So Will Hardy's the coach. He was the lead assistant last year with the Boston Celtics. Obviously, that was a huge loss. We already talked about the Celtics. If you watched our previous Atlantic Division preview with the Ime Udoka stuff. What's interesting is they actually have 18 players now on contracts in camp. Cody Zeller being one that they added on late. And the buzz is that Cody Zeller may end up with one of those spots, which then leaves them eating some guaranteed contracts and maybe a couple players that maybe some other teams would want, potentially like Bolmaro, Stanley Johnson, like guys like that they could move out. But what I want to know with the first question is, Gonzo, with Donovan Mitchell gone, and obviously Donovan Mitchell was that first option, who now kind of takes that role for you as the first option on this team?
Well, I think who's going to be the first option, and I don't think he himself is going to have it any other way. It's Colin Sexton. I think once the ball gets in his hands, he's going to shoot the lights out. And I'm not talking about he's going to knock down every shot. He's going to shoot first. First thing on his mind, shoot the ball. That's exactly what he's going to do. He will be their first option. He won't let anybody change his mind.
Okay.
Damn.
Huh. Interesting. I'll be curious to see then. And this kind of leads me to the X Factor role, Matt. Who kind of, because obviously they're not winning, right?
No.
So as an X Factor role, who can break out and develop enough?
I've got two here. You probably
Okay.
know one of them I'm going to go with. Ochai
Yeah.
Abaji, obviously, I think.
Mhm.
And I also believe Jared Butler's another one who I think could get some
Ooh.
opportunities.
Okay.
Those are the two I think you could see really. And he's still young. And I know he's always up and down. Just the potential, it's there. We want him to be good, but marketing, I'm not saying he'll do, but maybe this is an opportunity for him to become the guy we all think he can be, possibly.
Yeah. The jury is still out on Jared Butler. Like, he looked better over the summer, and he's looked better so far in the preseason. I just don't know, development-wise, is he really going to develop as a point guard? But I
Yeah.
think the one I'm intrigued about, well, two that I'm intrigued about, Jared Vanderbilt, because now he can just rebound, hustle, he can play a full-time starting role, basically. He doesn't have to look over his shoulder. Am I getting pulled, for Naz Reid or Karl-Anthony Towns or whoever's in that front court when he was in Minnesota? The second guy is Walker Kessler. The reason I say Walker Kessler is obviously he can rim protect, but Udoka Azubuike is the only other real big that was on this team other than Kelly Olynyk. So Olynyk's more of a stretch guy. So Kessler can play more of the later minutes as that rim protector. He's young and he's probably going to be foul prone, but at least can protect the rim. And he showed that he could stretch the floor before he got to Auburn. So when he was in high school, he was a 3-point shooting big, and they kind of switched his role up. So we'll see if that shot can come back for the kind of in the NBA as he moves forward. All right, Gonzo, wrapping up Utah because we still got to get to our next team. So Clarkson, Malik Beasley, Mike Conley, and Markkanen. As far as fits go, I think for me personally, I think Conley and Clarkson could potentially be, or Conley and Beasley could be legit trade candidates. Do you see them maybe getting traded as they fully try to embrace the tank, or do you see them actually having roles on the team all season, in kind of various ways?
I see them being traded, and I think we talked about this maybe a while ago. I think one place that Jordan Clarkson might end up is probably the Lakers.
That'll be interesting. So do you feel like if it's the Lakers, do you feel like Westbrook gets traded and bought out by Utah somehow?
Well, I think it's possible. It depends on how he plays coming out the gate. If Westbrook is not going to buy into his role and what LeBron James wants him to do with that team early on, trust me, he'll be gone. He'll sell faster than hotcakes.
Gotcha. All right. Speaking of selling, what team is selling a full-on rebuild for the last few years has been the Oklahoma City Thunder. Matt, what did they do last season?
They were 24-58 last year. They finished, which was 14th in the West. Points per game was 103.7 last. Opponents' points per game, 111.8, which was 15th. Pace was 98.5, which was 12th. Offensive rating, 104.6, 29th. Defensive rating, 112.8, which was 18th. The over-under is 22.5. You draft Chet Holmgren, Jalen Williams, and Ousmane Dieng.
Yeah.
And, of course, Chet Holmgren is out for the year, which is the big disappointment.
Yeah, that stinks just because everybody was so kind of high. And now reports came out with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander might not start the season healthy. So that'll be interesting to kind of see that. He's been thrown around in trade rumors and stuff previously. Of course,
they're going to find a way to sit him all year until they can trade him.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. All right, so Gonzo, out of the young guys that they have, whether it's Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Josh Giddey, Lou Dort, like plethora of guys, Pokashevsky, different, all kinds of guys you can name, even the rookies. Which young player do you feel like could make the biggest leap this year for the team?
I think right to this year, who I think is going to make the biggest jump. I think it's going to be Josh Giddey. I think Josh Giddey is going to make the biggest leap. He's shown that he's a very good passer. I think this year he'll become even a better shooter. I think he will make the biggest leap. And ultimately, I think Shea Gilgeous-Alexander will be one of those players who will get traded. So I think officially it will be Josh Giddey's team.
Okay. So, Matt, they can't keep all the young guys, obviously, on the team. They don't want to keep them. You mentioned Shea Gilgeous-Alexander sitting and then getting moved.
And Gon said it too. I think he's the guy.
Is there anybody else maybe that you think could move? Like, do you see? I know they signed like Dort to a big extension. Could you maybe see him moving off of that? Like, try to sell
Dort's
high.
age? What is Dort? 26, 25?
25, I believe, but I'll double check as we're.
There's a reason I'm asking this.
I
mean, 25. I mean, even if he's going to be 26 this year, you could probably move off him because he's not going to fit the time.
He's only 23. We were both wrong.
Oh, maybe you keep him then as that defender because you got to have guys like him. If they really want to be a good team, he's the kind of guy you want. So I think he can be a PJ Tucker type guy for them. He's improved on his 3-point shooting, which is good, and we know what he is on the perimeter as a defender. He's really good. I don't think they'll move him. Maybe they do. I mean, I think you probably get the most for Shea Gilgeous-Alexander because he is still young, and so I think he's probably the guy. Just get more draft, match get some expiring contracts for him. Maybe you send him to the Lakers for Russell Westbrook. You bring Russ back to OKC on that expiring contract. He's not going to help him win games with this team. Although I don't know if they would do that because you have Josh Giddey and you want the ball in Giddey's hands.
Right. Yeah, it'll be interesting. So that leads me to the last question as we close out the Oklahoma City Thunder. I'm going to ask both of you. So, Gonzo, I'm going to you first. X factor on this young team that's not that you think could help them potentially, sneak in and win some games, but that you're most excited about.
Josh Giddey.
Okay, Giddey again.
I think this right now he's really the only piece that you can really look forward and look toward the future and say he's going to be a part of this. And he's going to be the guy who's going to have to lead the helm. He's going to have to be the guy. I mean, you don't have Chet Holmgren. He's out for the season. Josh Giddey can show us. Josh Giddey needs to show the world that he's much improved. But also, I don't think they have enough to win. And I hope a team like San Antonio or OKC gets Victor Wembanyama because Chet Holmgren and Wembanyama will be a problem with Josh Giddey as their point guard.
Okay. Matt, what about you? Who are you most excited about?
Obviously, I am excited about Giddey, but I'm going to go in a different direction. It's a guy we talked about before we went live. I like the skill set, the tools that he has. He just hasn't put it together. I want to see if Pokashevsky can do it. He's a guy. He's 7 feet. He has potential as a shooter, a ball handler. I just want to see him put it together because I like him. I want to like him a lot.
Right. I'm actually intrigued. There's two guys I'm intrigued by. Ousmane Dieng, I'm intrigued by because he can play 3 positions potentially. They've been playing him as a backup power forward center because he's so versatile, being able to handle the ball and then with the length and stuff can help out on defense. And so he's just a versatile Swiss Army guy. The other one is also a rookie, Jalen Williams, which he's a combo guard.
Which Jalen Williams?
It's Jalen Williams, the 2 guard Jalen Williams, not the big. Okay. So there's a difference. So J-Dub is the Jalen Williams, the 2 guard out of Santa Clara. J. Will is Jalen, the big man.
Out of Arkansas, right?
Yeah. Arkansas, so it clarifies anybody that's not sure on that. But Jalen Williams, J-Dub, is able to handle the ball. He's handled the point guard role kind of as a hybrid guard throughout the preseason. He's been able to get in the lane and get like a little bit of a mid-range shot and things like that. I like the creation skills kind of pairing with Trey Mann, who's like the ultra scorer, as that kind of backup tandem at the 1 and the 2. So there's, exciting league pass watchability for this team, but they're going for Wembanyama or Henderson or whoever else. They want to get in the draft. They're all about draft picks at this point. I think one more year, they're down. Like next, going into next year, they may have to try to figure out some pieces and stuff like that. But after that, then they're going to start. I think you'll start seeing Sam Presti trade off some of those draft pick pieces to get some.
Yeah, because they've got like
together.
86 of them, right?
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot of draft picks. I don't know the exact number specifically that they have.
It seems like Utah, and Oklahoma City damn near own every draft pick from here until the end of time.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like when we get to our draft special for 2023, it's gonna be interesting to see who still holds some lottery picks, because I think we'll see
Oklahoma City and Utah are gonna have like half the first round picks.
Yeah, we'll see what happens there. But all right, that closes out. We've covered all 30 teams throughout our division previews. I think we've done a great job with it. Next, we're gonna end up diving into our season previews in a separate episode, but please make sure you like and subscribe if you're watching us on YouTube. We're also on all streaming audio platforms such as Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, and more. You can go to our Twitter bio and see our anchor links, and it takes you directly to each of the streaming platforms there. We're also on Instagram and TikTok, so make sure you're subscribed there as well. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. We're Loop City, and we're out.